Hi everyone, this is Nick from Coin and Paper, and today we're going to talk about the benefits or cons of using cash versus a debit card versus a credit card. And so we're going to look at different criteria, and we're going to look at if any of them has an advantage over the other. And so we're going to start off with looking at convenience. And as far as convenience, cash is definitely convenient whenever you go to a store and they say cash only. So in that case, you can't really use a debit card or credit card. Also, you may have limitations when you go to a store. Some may say in order for you to use a credit card or debit card, you have to spend at least $10. So that is an advantage for cash. Now, so that's for physical purchases. As far as online purchases or virtual purchases, you definitely can't use cash, as far as I know. So what you would want to use is a debit card or credit card. And so with online purchases, it's definitely more convenient to have debit cards and credit cards. So with that said, what I'm going to do is take this icon for things that have an advantage, or at least advantage over something else. And so cash has an advantage when it's physical, then debit and credit card have one if it's virtual. So, and what we're going to see here is they all have different ones that are advantage versus disadvantages over each other. So, and one may be stronger for you than the other. So at the end, you're going to find out it's really up to you as far as which one you want to use or which one you want to use at a certain point. But these are all tools. Whether you use cash, debit card, or credit card, they're all tools. So neither of them are bad in and of itself or good. They're just tools that should be used the way they should be intended. They should be used wisely. So with that said, let's look at the next one. It's living on a budget. So living on a budget, as far as having cash, I would say it's probably easier to use cash and live on a budget because you can't spend more than the cash you have in your pocket. So with that said, when you have cash, you really can't go into debt, or at least it's harder, as long as someone doesn't say we're going to let you borrow money or pay us back, but cash is definitely easier to live within your means. Also, when you have cash, there's something about it. Maybe it's psychological, but sometimes it's harder to spend cash because you see it. You know that this is your asset, you've earned it, and sometimes it's harder, or at least you're a smarter buyer when you carry cash. So let's move this advantage over here to cash. For debit and credit card, it's probably easier to spend money on a debit card and credit card because you're not seeing your money, so maybe it feels like you have unlimited money. So both of these are definitely have a disadvantage over cash. But now living on a budget between debit and credit card, debit is definitely, it's easier to live on a budget than credit because with the debit card, you're only using the money that's in your account. So with the debit card, it's usually through your bank, and you actually put in a deposit, and that's the money that you have available that you can use with a debit card. With a credit card, you don't necessarily put any money in a bank account because there's prepaid cards out there, but in general, a credit card is a line of credit to you that when you use it, you don't have to have any money to back it up, and so that can put you in debt right off the beginning. So debit card can help you live on a budget more than a credit card because with a debit card, you spend only what you have in that account. So that's an advantage. So with that said, I'm going to put 1 as cash having the biggest advantage. Then I'm going to say 2 for debit card, and really credit card is a loser here because here you just need your own discipline because credit card really doesn't help you to budget any differently. Now negotiating. So I put negotiating here because a lot of times when you have cash, you can get a deal just because you're paying in cash. So with the cash, people find that more convenient, and also some people rather live more discreetly and rather just not have things traced on credit cards or things like that. So cash just carries more convenience. So people tend to give you better deals if you pay in cash because they're trying to make you pay in cash. And another reason for that is fees. If you are a merchant, that is if you're a store and customers paying cash or a credit card, a lot of times the credit cards charge the merchant a fee for convenience to allow the customer to use it. And so that makes you as a merchant, make less money in profitability. So negotiating, definitely cash has an advantage here. So we'll do that. And so I would say both debit card and credit card really don't have an advantage at all. So debt. Debt is when you owe money. So as far as cash, when you hold cash, you're a lot less likely to go in debt. I mean, you still can go to a merchant and say, can I pay you back tomorrow? But definitely it's harder and harder to find that kind of relationship. Those are usually maybe small markets where you know people, but in general, it's a lot harder to get in debt when you have cash only. So that's an advantage. Now, as far as a debit card, you can't really go into debt. You can overdraft. That means spend more money by mistake than you have in your account, and the bank is really going to charge you a fee for that. And so that should be limited as far as how often that happens. So we're going to say that is an advantage for debit cards. But since we're looking at both of these so far, cash is definitely, you're not going to get any fees. You can't overdraft for cash unless someone says, I'm going to let you slide for this time, just pay me tomorrow, but they're not going to, there's no overdraft fee for that. The debit card is the second. Now, credit cards, this is definitely the worst because you can definitely get in debt, and you can get in a lot of debt depending on your credit limit. So pretty much credit is a debt, because credit is someone letting you borrow money, and that's pretty much what a credit card is the whole entire time. Now with the next thing, interest and fees. So interest and fees is what you're paying for the convenience of using debit or credit, or cash. So with cash, you're not really paying fees for having cash, because your cash, you've earned it, it's your money, and you're not paying anyone to have your cash. So with that said, cash definitely has an advantage because you're not paying for your cash. Debit, on the other hand, debit, you pay you're using your own money. So if you go to the store and use a debit card, you're not going to get charged any fees for that. But if you need cash from your bank account and you happen to be somewhere where your bank is not around, if you go to the ATM machine, then you're going to be charged a fee for that. And you may even be charged a few fees because they may charge you for the convenience for using their ATM. But I know some banks, when you use an ATM that's not their ATM, then they charge you on top of the ATM machine itself. So it's like your bank charging you and the other bank charging you for taking your own money out. So with that said, I would say that's definitely a disadvantage there. Now credit card. So credit card definitely has fees and interest, and more interest. So if you are a person who has debt, or at least we'll just say uses your credit card, and you don't pay off your credit card in full each month, then you're going to have interest charged. So you're going to have the interest charge on the balance that you carry over, or the balance that you don't pay from month to month. And that could be very high. And so we're going to say definitely that's a disadvantage for credit card. And fees, you can get fees for both of these, debit and credit card, if you don't pay, one, for credit card, your bill on time, and you don't pay at least the minimum amount. And with a debit card, you get fees if you overdraft. That means you pay for more on your card than you have in your account, and that could be pretty high as well. But definitely credit cards are the worst here. So with this said, one means the top worst in this case when it's red, and followed by debit card. And then cash is the clear winner. Now transaction history. So I put this one on here because this is really good for budgeting purposes. So if you want to keep track of your money and figure out where you've been spending it, it's easy, I feel, to use your debit cards and credit cards, because when you use your debit card or credit card, when you look at your statements, this information is recorded for you. Your transaction history is recorded for you. So if you want to go back and see how you've been spending compared to what you budgeted for yourself over the last year or even a couple years, you can go to your debit card and credit card and get that information. And so for me, I would say debit card and credit cards are the winners here, because cash, unless you keep track of it yourself on a piece of paper or typing it out on a spreadsheet or something, it's really hard to remember what you spent your money on. And so with that, it's hard to keep track of it and then understand how to budget it. So it's still possible, but a lot harder than looking at your bank accounts. So the next one is theft. And I put 2 lines for theft because one is physical and one is identity theft. So as far as physical theft, definitely cash has a disadvantage here because if someone steals your money, they steal your money and that's it. It's hard to go to the police and say, can you identify my money that was lost? And they'll just say, oh, no, you can't do that. And so physical theft is very hard when you have cash because once it's stolen, it's pretty much gone. Now, with the debit card and credit card, if someone steals your debit card or credit card, it's a lot more convenient because all you have to do is call the bank or the creditor and let them know that it's been stolen and ask them to cancel it and send you a new card. So with that said, debit cards and credit cards definitely have the advantage there. Now, identity theft. Identity theft is when someone steals your information or takes your information, like your name, your social security, your credit card number or debit card number, and then uses it against you. So they act like they're you and they go and try to make purchases as much as they can before you find out. So as far as cash has an advantage here because it's really impossible, as far as I can think right now, that anyone can steal your identity through your cash because the only information on your cash is who the president is, and that has nothing to do with your identity, as far as I know. So with debit and credit card, this is has more of a disadvantage than a cash, of course, because when you're paying for things online, you type in your information, and that information can be stolen, and so that's identity theft. And so both of these have definitely the clear disadvantage from cash. Now, disputing transactions. So this is definitely, maybe this is not applicable for cash or it's a disadvantage, but let's just put NA for right now, not really applicable. So if you have identity theft, and I'll highlight that to do that. So if you have identity theft, then how can you fight it? How can you protect yourself? Because that's like the beginning of problems. So as far as having a debit card, it's really hard for you to dispute transactions. It's a lot more inconvenient because when people take money from your bank, now it's actually physical cash. So you have to go to the bank, and I've worked at a bank before, and you have to fill out, a lot of times I've seen clients or customers have to fill out affidavits. And so basically it's getting illegal where you have to prove that you didn't spend the money and that it wasn't you, and so it's a lot harder. So I'm going to put this disadvantage there for disputing transactions because it's very hard to get your money back when you use your debit card, and it's very inconvenient because you may have your debit card linked to other types of online billing, and so it's really inconvenient to start a new checking account or bank account, and it really affects a lot of different things. And pretty much it'll take a long time before you get your money back in most cases with disputing transactions on a debit card. With credit cards, it's definitely the winner here because it's really easy to just close your credit card, and there's a lot of laws out there that actually is called the Fair Credit Billing Act, which really makes the process easier for the consumer. So it's easy to cancel your credit card, and you're not liable to pay for the item that was purchased as long as you report it quickly. And on top of that, since the credit card is not linked to your checking account or savings account, they can't steal money from your accounts, which protects you. So it makes basically your checking account and savings account like a safe haven. So it's insulated. The credit card acts like a firewall or insulator to your valuable checking account and bank account. So this one definitely is the clear winner as far as disputing transactions, and this is a big one. So now let's get into some other things. Holds. Holds is when you say if you go to a gas station and you pay for gas and it's $10, and a lot of times what the gas stations do is they put a hold on your account. And I'm not sure exactly why they do that, but they basically just want to make sure that you have money in the account. And so if it's a debit card, they may put a $50 hold, and even though you're spending $10, they'll put a $50 hold, which means they freeze up 40 of your dollars. So that means that it could cause you an overdraft fee if you only have $50 in your account and you spent that like another $10 of it somewhere else. If both of them try to hit your account at the same time, that is a gas station with 50 and then the other account with the other $10, the other merchant, then you could probably hit an overdraft fee. So with that, holds are definitely really inconvenient for a debit card, and for cash, I would say it's not applicable, or it's an advantage actually, because you don't have to hold, you just pay in cash and you're done. Now credit cards are the most convenient. Actually, I'm going to put this as 2, because credit cards are the most convenient with hold, because when you go to a hotel, for example, then they ask you to use a credit card because they want a deposit. And with the credit card, they usually take or put a hold on your credit card as a safety deposit, which is just basically it just holds it temporarily until you're done with the stay, and it really doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt your bank account, and it doesn't make you put more cash up. It's basically the liability is going out to the credit card for the moment. And so with holds, credit cards are definitely the most advantageous here. Now look at rewards. Rewards is something you can get for being a responsible and basically a big user of credit cards in particular. So rewards, when you, for example, shop or just spend money on your credit cards, what credit cards do to try to incentivize you to use their credit card is they say, we're going to give you cash back, or we're going to give you credits towards airline tickets. And so this is basically them sharing some of the profits that they make off of you and giving it to you back. Because every time you pay for something on a credit card, the credit card company actually charges the merchants. The people you're buying from actually gets charged for you using the credit card. And so the credit card companies are giving you a share of that. So you can actually make money off credit cards as long as you use it responsibly, don't get in debt, and pay off your interest, or pay off what you owe in full every month. You actually make money using credit cards. So with that said, I'm going to say credit cards definitely has an advantage. With cash, you're not going to get rewards, but up here we said you're going to get benefits from negotiating. So you'll be saving money in that way, but you won't be making money from cash in this case. So we're going to say this is a disadvantage. Actually, I want to say NA because it's kind of neutral, but you're definitely not making any money. Now with debit cards, there's probably 1 or 2 that give you a little bit of rewards, but definitely you're not going to get rewards like this. So I'm going to say no. Okay, so credit card is a clear winner here. Credit history. So credit history, this is why a lot of people actually get credit cards to start building their credit history. Because when you want to get loans, like a mortgage, you need to have credit history. And especially if you want to get good interest rates on your loans, you need to have good credit history. So with and able to develop credit history, credit cards help out with that. And so I'm going to put this there. Debit cards don't help with credit history at all, so I'm going to put that there. And cash does not help with credit history at all, so I'm going to put that there. Well, here's one thing to note. With credit cards, you can also develop bad credit history. If you don't use it responsibly and pay on time and pay in full, you don't have to pay in full, but pay on time, because you can pay at least the minimum payment. Because if you don't pay the minimum payment, don't pay on time, and you max out your credit, that means using it too much, close to your credit limit, all these things can hurt your credit history and your credit score. So as much as you are able to get good credit history, you can also get bad credit history if you don't use it responsibly. So as much as this is green, this should really be yellow. So this one could be very good and it could be very bad. So you need to be responsible, and then it could work in your favor and give you great credit score in the future, which gives you lower interest on a huge loan like a mortgage. Now other benefits. So warranties, car rentals, and then other benefits. So warranties, basically a lot of credit cards today are adding warranties to your purchases. So you may get warranties from the manufacturer, but a lot of credit cards give you extended warranties. So they're trying to make more people use credit cards to fund their purchases, and so they're offering more benefits like this. And this could be a great thing if you buy something expensive and the manufacturer's warranty expires or something, or doesn't really cover much. Your credit card probably would cover things to help you out there. So you have to look at the fine print, but credit cards definitely offer that, and that's a really nice perk. So as far as their debit card and cash, there's really no warranties that compared to credit card. Car rentals, this is kind of like holds we talked about earlier, especially like hotel ones. car rentals, a lot of them ask you to put in a deposit, and then they ask you to use a credit card because they want to make sure also that you have coverage for different kinds of collision. So with cash, it's going to be inconvenient. They might not even let you actually rent a car with cash, and if they do, you might have to put a lot of money down as a deposit. Debit card is very inconvenient because they might take extra money from your account, or at least try to, for again that security deposit or extra coverage. With credit cards, a lot of credit cards offer insurance for car rentals, and so this is clearly the winner because it's easier to definitely rent a car with a credit card because one, a lot of the credit cards cover insurance, and then two, if there is any hold or security deposit, it could be put on your credit card rather than hold your actual money. So this is definitely an advantage for credit cards. Now other benefits, so actually this one's probably not applicable because there's definitely other benefits for all of these three, so I'm just going to delete that one. But we can see here that if you're using cash or debit cards or credit cards, there's advantages and disadvantages of each. But again, you have to look at each individual case. For me personally, I have all three, so I want to use the right one, the right tool at the right time. So all of these three are tools. Cash is not good or bad in of itself, or debit or credit. You just have to use it wisely and properly to get the most out of it. And that's pretty much the point here with coin and paper, is to get information and use it wisely to your advantage so you can get ahead in your financial goals. So hopefully this video was very helpful. If you have any questions or comments on this, please feel free to let me know, and thank you.